What's up, my dudes? It's Ansu, and today I'm here to do the Get to Know the Fantasy Reader book tag. I was tagged by Kay from Kay's Infinite Library. This tag was created by the Book Pusher, so I'll leave both their links linked down below, but let's get into the questions. The first question is, what is your fantasy origin story, or how you came to read your first fantasy novel? I honestly don't even remember how I came across fantasy per se, but I feel like it would have been a Cassie Clare book. It was just a very popular book. That's why I picked it up, I think. I don't remember like a specific book that got me into fantasy particularly. I can't remember that whatsoever, but I think it was Cassie Clare and City of Bones. The reason why I say that is because fantasy was not such a popular YA genre when I was growing up. It is right now, but definitely not back then. So at least I didn't know about many books when I was like 11 or 12 when I started reading. I feel like it was Cassie Clare. Question number 2. If you could be a hero or heroine in a fantasy novel, who would be the author and what's one trope you would insist to be in that story? This is kind of hard. I feel like it would be S.A. Chakraborty because I've recently gotten into her. I think she's a fantastic author. She keeps you hooked, and that's something that I would really love to be a part of. What I like as a trope is usually friends to lovers. A growing, slow burn romance. I would like that. I don't know. That's what I like the most to see. I'm not a huge fan of just like straight up enemies. Suddenly they're just like, I love you so much. Like I don't understand that most of the time, but yeah. This trope I can stand behind. I feel like I would really enjoy it, so that's something that I would like. Question number 3. What is a fantasy you've read this year that you want more people to read? I have only read like 2 fantasies this year, and it was part of the same series, and it was also by S.A. Chakraborty. So I did read the David Bott trilogy, the second and third book of the David Bott trilogy, and I loved it. I would like people to read it more, but I feel like it is also a widely popular book. As of late, at least, a lot of people have been talking about it, and I feel like a lot of people know about it too. So, I don't know, it's a good series. I feel like a lot of people do talk about it. So, yeah, I can't really tell you like an unpopular book so far that I've only read 2. Question number 4. What is your favorite fantasy subgenre, and what subgenre have you not read much from? What classifies as a subgenre? I don't even know, man. Most of adult fantasies, which has a lot of action and a bit of romance, with impactful characters, I would love. So I don't know what subgenre that is. It's not a subgenre. I don't know. I love those kind of fantasies a lot. The ones that I don't personally love or don't reach a lot to anymore is paranormal fantasies. I used to love like vampires and werewolves growing up. I just don't anymore. It's just not something that I'm super interested in anymore. That's not to say I would never like read anything that is from that genre, but it's not it right now. Question number 5. Who's one of your auto-buy fantasy authors? Sarah J. Maas, Cassie Clare. Automatically, I just buy any of the books that they shell out. And the problem that I personally face is that the books that I'm super into right now are adult fantasies. And they cost like $40. Your girl does not have that much money to dish on books, so I end up reading like ebooks or audiobooks, and that's it. That's like a little unfortunate, but that's something that has been happening as of late. And even if they are auto-buy authors, I can't buy all of their books because they're so expensive. One day, once I'm done like studying, have my master's or whatever, which will probably take a few years, I will get to it. But right now, Cassie Clare and Sarah J. Maas are authors that I just can very quickly buy books from. Question number 6. How do you typically find fantasy recommendation? YouTube mainly. I have a couple of fantasy readers that I'm diehard fans of because they're very close reading tastes too, especially Reagan from Peruse Project. I have very similar reading taste to her, so anything that she likes, there's a very good chance I would really love as well. Also, Emma from Emma Books. Any books that she recommends is usually very good for me. So those two especially have been working really well for me. Books that Rachel from Let Me in the Library have been recommending, with like fantasy especially, I have liked it a lot. So yeah, a few booktubers here and there that I've watched, I personally really resonate with their fantasy reading styles, and I really enjoy it. What is an upcoming fantasy release that you're excited for? I think I can remember right now. Of course, Silver Flames, Atlas. Yeah, A Quarry of Silver Flames. That's what I'm super excited about. I really want to read it. It's like a guilty pleasure kind of a read for me. I absolutely adore it. I've loved that series so much, and I know it's not like the perfect thing in the world, but I really enjoyed it. That's literally all I can think about that's coming out this year. I really need to make like a whole list of anticipated books because I can't remember everything off the top of my head anymore. But yeah, Echoes is something that I'm very excited about. Question number 8, what is one misconception about fantasy that you would like to lay to rest? And that is fantasy or like fiction in general is not actually reading. I hate when people say like anything that's not nonfiction or like a freaking Booker Prize winner is not actually reading. Like, it drives me insane, especially when those are the people who do not read for shit. Don't come at me and say that you read a lot more than I do when you read one book in 5 years. Like, what? No, that's not cool. You learn how to be emotionally available and understand what people go through because of the different things that they have, like different powers that they have and the way that they're being divided against just because they exist. You learn all of these things by just reading fantasy. And it's like an escapism. You don't have to live your ordinary life all the time, all day, every day. And I think that's such a cool concept, which I don't understand why people just hate on and just say like, oh, it's not really reading. You're reading about vampires. I hate you all. Even though it is about a world that does not exist, you learn so much. So yeah, stop being an asshole. Oh man, question number 9. If someone had never read a fantasy before and asked you to recommend the first 3 books that come to mind as places to start, what would those recommendations be? First 3 books that come to mind. I would say The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer is a good start. I thought that was a good series. I'm thinking Arv Kwang, but like if you're new to fantasy, you would die. It is very dark and grim, so if you can't handle it, which I'm assuming you can't because there's a lot of murder and you're just getting into fantasy, that's probably not a good recommendation, but it's a good book. Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, that was amazing. I thought it was such a fantastic book. Definitely read that. That's a very good start. Legendborn is really top notch for me. And also Warcross by Marie Lu. I feel it's not a fantasy. It's not a fantasy. It's still a good book. I didn't like the second book, but like the first book was really good. The final question: who's the most recent fantasy reading content creator you came across that you'd like to share out? And there are so many fantasy readers, and I feel like it has gone widely popular as of late. But these are some of the content creators that I personally really like. So that's Tammy from Tammy Tries to Read, Rue from Rue's Reading Corner, Rachel from Let Me in the Library. I cannot remember anybody else. These are some of these smaller YouTubers that I love watching, and I think they make great content. And they also talk about fantasy books quite often. So definitely check them out if you have not. But yeah, that's it. If you would like to try this tag, I would definitely give it a shot. I will leave the original creator link down below so you can actually watch the video. I hope to see you guys soon with another one. Until then, I'll talk to you all in the comments. Ooh, also let me know what your favorite fantasy books are, especially if you have read any this year, because I would love to know them and I would like to try them out. So yeah, let me know. Bye!